Ladies and gentlemen, pray charge your glasses. The toast is Master William. The latest...
And not the last, we hope.
The latest tradition, friends, to the famous Fraser family. Fortunate indeed is such a child, blessed from birth by the grace and love of two such perfect parents.
Yeah.
Doubly fortunate in that he will undoubtedly inherit from the one those characteristics of charm and beauty which have so endeared her to all our hearts, and from the other an endowment of wit, manly strength, and generosity of spirit, which so readily distinguish him from those of more common pottery.
To Master William.
I will not particularize nor condemn those who, through reasons of greed or avarice, are unable to be present on this auspicious occasion.
Father.
I will simply pass without comment to the subject of this lavish entertainment. I give you Master William Fraser,
Master William.
12 months old today. Long may he rejoice in health, happiness, and prosperity. Master William.
Master William.
My friends, as I cannot possibly hope to match Captain Webster's eloquence, I will content myself by thanking you all on behalf of my wife, myself, and my son.
Spoken like a man. The wine is with you, sir.
Have you any plans for his future?
Indeed, yes. When William attains his majority, he will have quite an inheritance.
I have today banked £5 in his name. I shall add a further 5 on his second birthday and an extra 5 on each succeeding birthday.
Well.
Splendid idea, Robert. Well, we must follow suit with little Samuel.
Aye, we'll set him up as a limited company, eh? And perhaps persuade James to invest in him, too.
You think of that, eh?
Emigrants.
As many as we can catch. £5 a head.
It's a deal of money for them to scrape together, sir.
Well, the law no longer allows them to take passage feeding themselves, so they must pay for the privilege of eating our victuals, eh?
Quebec. I know that place well. It's full to the gunnels with frog eaters.
We'll bend that to the shards for as many to see as possible. We sail Wednesday first tide. Come foul weather or fair. We're on time charter. Time costs money. We'll get along with you.
Is there not something that you've overlooked, sir?
I feel utterly wretched, Elizabeth. James has charge of our present. He chose it himself.
Don't worry,
£5 from me, Uncle Richard. 2 pages of advice on how to invest it. I know how to invest it. You shall have a new dress.
No, Albert, it's for William. He'll be such a rich little man.
I like the cut of his jib. Every inch of Fraser. Every inch.
With his mother's eyes.
Oh, no, he's the spitting image of his father, his little Daniel, eh?
Sorry I'm late. I had some pressing business.
There we are, little one. Sleep well. Are you not going to say good night, Albert?
Later, perhaps. After our guests have left.
Grandson, 'tis my dearest wish that one day Anne will present me with the gift of a grandson. I had a son once, poor weakly thing, died before Anne was born. They were hard days, hard days.
Perhaps it was better that he did.
What?
Die.
Albert, that's a cruel and monstrous thing to say.
We must ask Captain Webster's view.
No man of conscience could wish ill to his own flesh and blood, sir.
No man of conscience could wish ill to any child.
And when the child becomes a man,
He will return the love that he's been given.
You have your answer, sir. Arguing with a woman is like being lost in shoal water. Whichever way you turn, you run into trouble.
and that would be time to abandon ship, I think.
What? Strike your colours and admit defeat, sir?
But if your adversary was sailing under false colours...
No quarter, sir. No quarter.
Great big blabbermouth.
James, you go too far. It were a simple slip of the tongue.
One that's liable to cost us very dear.
Of course.
If Albert's anything like his father, he's not likely to be a very forgiving man, is he?
Why should he suspect? An unguarded word which we have magnified out of all proportion because of our knowledge.
The situation's impossible. It always has been. Albert was bound to find out sooner or later.
The question is, what action will he take, eh?
Morning, sir.
You're late.
Barely a minute, sir. You will have noticed that Canadian timber prices are on the increase, sir.
I've also noticed that you negotiated higher freight rates, Captain Fogarty.
I anticipated a consequent rise in insurance rates, sir.
Oh, sharp head on young shoulders, eh? Sharp enough for James Onedin, do you think?
I don't know, sir. I've not matched him as yet.
He did once in fair fight.
A long time ago and best forgotten.
I doubt James Onedin would forget and forgive so easily.
I care little for James Onedin's opinions on any matter on this earth.
Not even on a subject which touches you closely?
I don't follow you, sir.
Oh, come on. You were once affianced to that dolly-mop, Elizabeth Onedin.
I regret, sir, that as long as you insist upon traducing the good name of a lady I hold in some esteem, I cannot remain in your presence.
Nor in my employ.
Nor your employ.
Here, Dawson, take these back. You're a stiff-necked rascal, aren't you? Understand me plainly, Captain Fogarty. I care not a rap for your attachments and endearments, but I do concern myself for the good name of this firm.
I cannot see how the affections I once had for Miss Elizabeth could possibly have anything to do with this
Miss Elizabeth, she's Mrs. Albert Fraser. Now do you begin to understand?
No.
Well, I'll try another tack. What is your attitude of mind towards Albert Fraser?
I envy him his good fortune.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
Good. And I can take it there's no likelihood of any renewal of this entanglement.
Such a suggestion is unworthy of you, sir. I hold both Mr. and Mrs. Albert Fraser in the highest regard.
Good. That's precisely what I required to know.
I don't understand.
Now, these questions are pertinent to your future. You're no doubt aware, since it's the tittle-tattle of every club in the city, that marriage caused a breach between Mr. Fraser and his son, Albert. And rightly, too, in my view. Damn fool married beneath him.
Mr. Callan, please.
No, hear me out, sir. One day, there could very well be a reconciliation between old Mr. Fraser and his son. Now, Fraser and I are very firm friends, have been many years, so when that day comes, I want to ensure that not one breath of scandal will touch either of our houses.
You have my assurance on that score, sir.
Good. Oh, my niece Emma was dining with us last night. She was asking after you. Oh, there's a young girl who'll make some young man a fine wife.
Yes, sir.
And I'm growing old, Daniel. Too old to go crawling through bilges and sounding ship's timbers. I need a ship's husband. Someone with sharp wits, loyal, trustworthy, honest. Someone who knows that his best interests are my best interest. Somebody who knows men and can handle ships. The modern title is Marine Superintendent, if you care for it.
I'm overwhelmed, Mr. Callan.
You'll be overwhelmed with work if you accept, I can tell you that much. Now do you understand the direction of my questions?
I'm to be stationed ashore.
And you will move in the same circles as the Frasers. So I expect you to take care only to meet them on the most formal of occasions.
That has always been my intention, sir.
Very well, Captain Fogarty. This will be your office, and you will take over your duties immediately. But
sir,
remember, one touch of scandal, and out you go.
Yes, sir. had a feeling in the early days of our marriage that you were striving to tell me something. Could it be that you had pangs of conscience?
The doubt is in your mind, not mine.
Then the onus must be upon you to put my mind at rest.
I've told you the child was born prematurely.
You prevaricate yet again.
I think you are not seeking the truth, but merely confirmation of your own unworthy suspicions.
Oh, not unworthy. Under the circumstances, I imagine the proper adjective to be justified.
The circumstances were that my brother couldn't hold his wine, stumbled over a name which resulted in you calling your wife whore.
The name tripped off my tongue. Trollop would be the closer term. But being on somewhat unfamiliar ground, I leave the choice of noun to you.
And the child? Is he forever to be known as the Fraser bastard?
You can decide that with one word.
A whole dictionary of words wouldn't convince you. What you need is proof, and proof you cannot have.
We shall see, madam. We shall see. If you could cast your mind back 21 months, Mr. Baines.
21 months is a tidy slice out of any man's life, sir.
Perhaps I can refresh your memory. As I recollect, it had been arranged that some of the Onedin casks were to be stored in my father's yard.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Callan had been flooding us with empty casks so we could neither stow nor work the ship.
You have a sharp memory, Mr. Baines.
That's only natural. Before I could book read, everything had to be carried in my head.
A much to be envied accomplishment.
Thank you, sir.
Perhaps we can stir it further. I wager you cannot remember detail.
Try me out, sir.
I lost my hat that day. My head as well, I think.
Your hat? Yeah, there was something about a hat. Yeah. Hold fast there, I have it. Miss Elizabeth came aboard looking for you.
For me?
You left your hat somewhere. She must have found it if she brought it with her. But you were off ashore with Captain Onedin discussing them casks.
What happened then?
I went ashore in search of a cab.
Leaving her alone?
Well, not exactly alone.
Oh?
Daniel Fogarty turned up, so she was in safe hands, you see.
Daniel Fogarty. I see.
They were bespoke at the time, sir.
Of course. You have a most remarkable memory, Mr. Baines.
Oh, Mr. Baines.
I will have the truth, Anne.
I can understand your concern, Albert.
20 months ago, James came to blows with Daniel Fogarty.
Shouldn't you be asking James about that?
Oh, I know James too well. He enforces his will by exploiting weakness, not by behaving like a prize fighter. Now, why should he suddenly indulge in a public brawl with a man for whom apparently he had the highest regard and who, moreover, was shortly to be his brother-in-law?
It was a personal matter.
A straight question is deserving a straight answer. Did Elizabeth take you into her confidence before we eloped?
Yes, she did.
What did she tell you?
It was a confidence. And you must be aware that a confidence cannot be breached simply because there's been a passage of time.
Did she ask your advice?
Yes.
And?
I advised her to marry Mr. Fogarty.
Why?
It was a confidence, Albert.
My apologies to you. Good day.
And here we are. You'll need to come up on deck for examination by the doctor before we sail.
Doctor?
Formality does show him your ticket and stick your tongue out. You know, you're lucky. First aboard as first pick of the berths.
When shall we be sailing?
Tomorrow, come hell or high water. Anything else you require?
Food?
All right, I'll send you some burgo and molasses. Put a lining on your stomach.
Burgo?
Porridge to you. And listen, keep a sharp watch on your dunnage. Some of these folk are not as honest as we might wish.
I thought we might hire a trap and go into the country. Visit your brother Jeremy, perhaps.
Robert, you are the kindest of men. Not too much dust now, love, or we'll have it all returned with a barrage of complaints.
What do you want for the price? Best soup chow?
Oh, Mr. Fraser.
I seem to have caught you at an opportune moment.
We were just about to take tea if you'd care to step through.
Thank you, no. I called merely to thank you for the birthday gift.
Oh, it was nothing, really.
A most convivial evening.
Too convivial for me, I fear. I've a very poor head for wine.
Oh, my husband is the best of men. But I think I'd not be disloyal if I were to say that, upon occasion, after a glass of wine, he is inclined to talk a little too much, perhaps.
In vino veritas. You amuse me wife and myself by referring to our child as Daniel.
A simple slip of the tongue. Well, tell him, Robert. I'm sure Mr. Fraser will be every bit as amused as we were. We had quite a laugh about it later.
Yes, well, I was just admiring the child, you know, such a splendid little fellow.
With his mother's eyes.
I noticed the strong it was the most marked resemblance between your son and our little Samuel, you see.
Indeed.
Yes, and being somewhat, well, you know, a little befuddled, as it were, I started to say Samuel, you see, but then changed course in midstream. Well, it came out as Whamuel, you see.
Well, when Robert explained the matter in the coach to us going home, we simply roared.
Had your husband actually said Whamuel rather than Daniel, I'm sure I would have shared in the humor of the situation.
I could have bitten off my tongue.
Did you think I would be offended?
Oh, yes.
I cannot for the life of me imagine why.
The coincidence.
Coincidence.
Daniel, you see, with Daniel Fogarty.
Oh, of course. You must think me uncommonly stupid not to have related the name to that of my wife's former suitor.
I didn't mean that, Albert.
I've only met Mr. Fogarty on a few brief occasions, and so I've had little opportunity to judge his character.
Then I can assure you, Mr. Fraser, that Mr. Fogarty is a most upright and honourable man.
Oh, he's as honest as the day is long.
Then I'm forced to the conclusion that Elizabeth has chosen unwisely. For I'm sure I have none of those qualities.
Then you do yourself an injustice, Mr. Fraser. My sister-in-law has a very great affection for you. A fact which can scarcely have escaped your attention, I think.
You see, she chose to ignore our advice. We urged her, Albert, we urged her to marry Daniel Fogarty.
In preference to myself. That is hardly flattering.
You didn't come here looking for flattery. You came here to badger us with impertinent questions. Well, if you want the answers, I suggest that you go home and ask them of your wife, because you'll get no more of us. Good day to you, sir.
Good day, sir. Madam.
Mr. Fraser.
Whoa, man, whoa. Is that Jeremy's cottage?
Hey, it must be. It's pretty, isn't it?
Come on, man.
Who's this coming?
Whoa.
Sarah and Robert. Sarah!
Oh, Kate, it's good to see you.
Hello, Robert.
He refuses to accompany me to church.
No. Well, as yet, that's not a crime, though some of these hellfire preachers would ever think so. Well, nothing for it, Elizabeth. Put on a bold face and come along with us, eh?
He's been making inquiry of Baines and Robert and Sarah. Has he spoken to you?
Yes, he has.
He didn't say anything.
Of course not. You and Albert must work out your own salvation.
What happened to all your furniture?
We had to sell.
Why?
Old story, rents up, wages down.
We have a mound of debts.
No work, no credit.
What will you do, Jeremy?
Take to the road, like as not.
Came for a picnic, Sarah. And a picnic we shall have. Right here. There.
Where's my spectacles? They've been kept from me.
Here they are.
Not the only things that's been kept from me in this house.
What does that mean?
The storm clouds are brewing. I know the signs. Everyone all in their wind and running for shelter. It'll be that son-in-law of mine at the bottom of it, you mark my words.
James is solely concerned with business, nothing else.
Oh, he has a tradesman's talent for turning a penny, I'll give him that.
That talent that you're so eager to condemn has kept us from the poorhouse and brought you a little bit of comfort for your old age.
It was a bargain.
Which James has more than kept. You have a sovereign or two for your pocket.
From you, not from him. He wouldn't give you the time of day without asking 10% return.
We have a fine house, good food, clean linen. What more do you want?
Fine house indeed, with an empty room.
What do you mean?
What's the use of a fine house with no children? A man needs sons.
I reckon that's the best bust-up I've ever had. And you folk call it picnicking. Well, you've certainly come up in the world, Robert, that you have.
I haven't done too badly.
Robert holds a most important position in the world of commerce.
Oh?
He's a director of a shipping line.
Oh, just in a small way of business, you know.
My husband is far too modest about his attainments. They've quite a fleet of ships.
On charter only.
And their own warehouse.
Where do these ships go?
Anywhere that shows a profit.
Canada, perhaps?
Oh, aye, we've got one on charter to Lower Canada, I think. Quebec, I think.
Robert, does this ship carry emigrants?
Ah, Scotland and Irishers, mostly. At £5 a head.
£5 a head? £10? I've never owned £10 in the whole of my life.
Robert?
Hmm?
Perhaps you could use your influence. After all, Kate and Jeremy are family.
Oh, yes, of course.
Are you in the habit of reading me private correspondence?
The address, that's all. Who is this Mr. Erickson?
I don't see it's any concern of yours. But if it'll ease your mind, Mr. Erickson happens to be one of the most brilliant marine engineers in the world today.
But he lives in America and they're in civil war.
I should hardly think Mr. Erickson will be employed in shouldering a musket.
Why are you writing to him?
I've been corresponding with him for some time. He wants me to go out there and work with him.
You never mentioned it to me.
I had not then decided.
And now you have decided.
Not yet.
Eternally grateful to you.
Aye, well, come on, let's hurry aboard before James sees you, yes.
I don't know how to thank you.
No, well, look, here are your tickets. Now, you show those to the doctor. He passes you. Then give them to the mate standing next to him. Come.
Kate, are you all right?
A little dizziness, that's all.
Is all well, Robert?
Aye, come along now. We must hurry aboard. All right, Mr. Baines. These are mine. Thank you.
Brother Robert, either these accounts are short, or we've too many emigrants.
No. They're all aboard and accounted for.
In that case, you as Chandler and agent owe the company £10.
What do you mean? Oh, that? Oh, you mean Sarah's brother and his wife?
Since when have we undertaken to ship your poor relations free of charge?
They are family.
What of it?
Articles of Association.
Articles of Association?
Aye.
What's that?
Articles of Association. Look, it's there, in black and white.
You should read the small print, James.
I see no humour in the situation.
It's perfectly clear. When you went limited...
With me as director.
You inserted this clause yourself. All members of the board, their wives and families, shall be entitled to travel free of charge on all vessels owned by or chartered by Onedin Line and Company.
That didn't mean every Tom, Dick and Harry.
It's exactly what it says. Robert's outsmarted you, James. And I shall take advantage of the same clause and make the crossing myself.
Now, listen here, madam.
No, James,
Okay.
I have no intention of being left behind to shoulder Elizabeth's troubles.
Good day, James.
Ah, Mr. Fogarty.
Mr. Fraser?
I might have the privilege of a few minutes' conversation.
Come inside.
Thank you.
And how can I be of assistance, Mr. Fraser?
It's a matter of some delicacy, and I must confess I find it rather difficult to begin.
Short, plain, and to the point is usually the better way.
In that case, I shall take your advice and beg your indulgence if the questions I ask seem to be of a personal nature. You've never married, Mr. Fogarty?
No. I let the first opportunity slip through my fingers through overcaution. The second has not yet arrived.
You are referring to your engagement to my wife.
I once had a great affection for Elizabeth, yes.
An affection which she no doubt returned.
I think, Mr. Fraser, that's a question better asked of your wife.
Oh, I have, Mr. Fogarty, I have.
I'm sorry, sir, but the purpose of this conversation eludes me completely.
I'm of the opinion that my wife has deceived me.
I'm sorry to hear it.
With you.
I have clapped ties on Elizabeth, but once since the day you were married, and that was in your company, sir. I beg your pardon, I saw her once on the quayside when I was
What
seeing
I
Miss
have in
Hannah off to
mind
Ireland.
must have occurred before our marriage.
Such a suspicion can but raise a canker in a man's mind. On that account alone, you have my sympathy for what it's worth. If it were in my power to help you, I would do so.
Then it is true.
I did not say so! I'm trying to say that you have put me in an impossible position. Am I to confirm or deny? Now, you, Mr. Fraser, must surely understand that no man with the slightest claim upon honor could possibly put a lady into such jeopardy. And for the self-same reason would you accept a denial. Even if I were to swear upon a stack of Bibles, topmast high. Whose child is it, yours or mine? Answer me plainly, sir. Go to your wife for your answer. Accept her answer. And for your own peace of mind, believe her, Mr. Fraser. Believe her.
What's wrong with young Fraser? Not looking where he's going, nearly knocked me down the stairs.
Personal matter, sir.
Personal matter? There's no such thing as a personal matter during company time. Come on, out with it, man. What is it?
Sorry, sir. It won't happen again.
I've given you fair notice, Mr. Fogarty. One breath of
Yes,
scandal...
Mr. Callan, I understand. I understand well enough.
However we resolve our differences, we cannot hold a child to ransom.
Whose child?
Come to bed.
I want the truth.
And you shall have it, I promise. Come to bed.
Oh, God's blood, cannot even you answer a plain question with a plain answer?
Very well. Do I blurt it out, or can you cool your temper long enough to listen to me?
I am listening.
Daniel Fogarty and I were promised.
Did you love him?
I don't know. How can I possibly remember? Oh, he would have made an excellent husband and father, no doubt. And I would have escaped from that dirty little shop. Daniel Fogarty would have been an excellent catch for a girl in my circumstances. And then you came along. Do you deny that you pursued me?
Only with the most honorable of intentions.
Honorable? Is it then thought honorable for a gentleman to make overtures to a lady once she's forsworn to another?
You were not formally engaged.
Daniel was but mate of a bark and poorly enough paid. God knows to have money for such niceties.
I spoke to James about it. He implied there'd be no insurmountable obstacles.
Oh, James, that brother of mine has much to answer for.
We're wandering from the point again. I imagine that my intentions were clear enough.
Crystal clear.
His face seems hot.
What do you imagine a girl should think when a gentleman of your class comes strutting and mincing and la-di-daring with bunches of posies and pretty speeches?
Oh, really, Elizabeth?
Oh, tush, Elizabeth. You mustn't know of such things, Elizabeth. You're a fool, Albert Fraser. I was born and bred in a neighborhood where the intentions of a strolling gentleman of quality were abundantly clear. It's understood, of course, that gentlemen are entitled to their experiences before they marry their virtuous ladies. With whom do you think they gain their experiences? With shop girls and milliners, but not with me.
You have an uncanny ability for putting me in the wrong and yourself in the right and still avoiding the issue. Who is the father?
Very well, the child is Daniel's. Now, are you content?
Which shows a vast improvement.
Indeed. His one voyage on the Charlotte roads gave him a taste of shipboard fare. He vowed to improve the victualling, and he's done so.
Beg pardon, sir. One of the emigrants has the sickness.
Oh, you finish your dinner. That bedroom's no place for a woman.
Over here, sir.
Smallpox.
Yeah.
What can we do?
Nothing.
What is it?
I'm not yet certain. A day or two will tell. Mr. Fraser, I wonder if I could have a word with you, please.
Of course, Doctor.
Thank you.
The best specific is said to be salt water, ma'am.
Salt water?
Aye. There's plenty of it. It's the only one we have.
James, we must turn back.
Cannot. We're on time charter. Every day costs money.
But what if we run into bad weather?
Then we'll just have to bat them down below again.
You cannot. Smallpox is contagious.
Just take their chance below. Would you rather they were washed overboard?
What did the doctor say this time?
It might or might not be. Damn it, I could have told him that myself. I suggested a second opinion, a specialist if need be, but he pooh-poohed the notion.
He will call again soon.
Twice a day at least, damn it, or I'll know the reason why. He suggested a nurse.
No. I shall nurse him myself.
We shall take turn and turn about. Poor little chap.
Captain is right.
What?
There's little sense to turning back.
It's the only chance they have. Smallpox is a plague.
You're wrong, man. If they don't survive the infection, they'll be buried at sea, and it'll matter little to them which port they're bound for. But if they recover, they book passage to Canada, every man jack of them. And you'll gain small thanks for taking them back to quarantine in Liverpool.
Quarantine?
Aye.
We make slow headway against the Westerners.
6 weeks out, 20 days back. It's common enough.
Smallpox can rage like a fire.
And dies quickly. If those two recover, the longer we're at sea, the better. Give time for the scars to heal.
And if they don't recover?
Then they'll be buried at sea and nobody the wiser.
You cannot falsify the ship's log.
100 times over, Anne. I cannot afford to spend up to 3 weeks in quarantine. You've never been aboard a quarantine ship, have you?
No.
I think yourself fortunate. Guard boats to see that nobody approaches or leaves. Nobody to bring you fresh water or meat or bread or biscuits. You live off what's left of the ship's victuals, rotten meat, foul water. And then the smallpox don't take. Cholera and typhus do. Now, while I'm on time charter, I'm caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. What a vengeance.
Give him to me. You must eat. There. I can't afford to have 2 invalids on my hands.
You really do love him.
If it was a foundling left on my doorstep, do you think I'd leave him there to die? Go on, eat.
I'm not hungry.
We agreed to turn and turn about, so you'll oblige me by keeping your side of the bargain. Oh, eat, damn you, eat. For you to survive, we'll need all our resources. You ever had the smallpox?
No.
Aren't you afraid?
I want nothing but to see our child well again.
Husband's not putting up a very good fight.
If only they could take a little broth.
Feed a cold, starve a fever. Main thing is just to keep him separate from the others. What are you doing here, thieving?
I am no thief. I am come from my own.
Let's look at you. You look healthy enough. Go along with you.
husband's condition's worsening.
Well, what can I do? I'm not a doctor. Anne, you've had no sleep. Now get down below.
James.
Look, if you're ill, who's going to look after them? Now, below. Rest.
Blankets, Mr. Baines.
There's none to be had, ma'am.
Wait here, I have some.
What the devil are you doing?
It's one of the emigrants, but I think it's no more than a chill from the night air. She needs blankets.
Well, not ours.
Yes. Yes, chicken pox, Mr. Fraser.
Chicken pox?
You're quite certain?
Yes, yes, indeed. But he's a strong, healthy child, so there's no reason for you to alarm yourselves. Now, I prescribe calamine lotion. And do keep the child's nails cut short, Mrs. Fraser, in order to prevent the spread of infection.
Yes.
Oh, and I'll send you a bottle of patent medicine to keep the temperature down.
Oh, I'll see you after.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Fraser.
God.
Thank you very much.
Ready to see the stage, Jeremy Sterling, an emigrant, died of natural causes. Now then, when we get to Quebec, I want a clean bill of health. No objections from anybody. Thank you, Mr. Baines.
Aye, sir.
Well?
I don't know.
You don't know what?
Your motives.
My motives have never changed from the first day that we met. Have yours? The wife will recover. We're past the danger. Now, to turn back would have been impracticable. You must understand that.
Would you have turned back had it been me?
No. To turn back would have made no difference. Don't you see that? Oh, Anne. When will you stop trying to be my conscience, eh? One of these days, your confounded scruples will bring us to the workhouse.
Here we are, little one.
With all the turmoil, I'd quite forgotten to post my letter to Mr. Erickson.
It is important.
Of course.
Are you going to work for this Mr. Erickson?
Perhaps.
America is far away.
It does have that merit.
Will you be coming back to Liverpool?
If I go, no.
Good morning, sir.
Morning to you.
Can I please your tall captain?
Can you what?
Can I please your tall, sir?
Here, how old are you?
16 come all Saints' Day.
What's your name?
Jane Bamber.
What mill do you work in, Jane Bamber?
None.
Oh, you're our mill girl, aren't you?
Aye.
Well, then what mill do you work in?
Blackley Beck at Preston, sir. But it's shut down. There's not a bit of cotton for us to weave. It's the war in America.
Sit down.
I've told these sluts once, I've told them 100 times to stay to the side of yon
No
door where they
slut, this is
belong.
a young working girl, on hard times.
That'll be fourpence, Captain.
Aye, well, now here's eightpence. Go and get me another, will ya?
Aye, sir.
Here, drink that.
No, I mustn't. I've never had rum before.
Go on, drink it.
Saving your presence, Captain, I wouldn't give her that on an empty stomach. She'd probably die on it.
Oh, well, get her a plate of beef then, will you?
Beef, sir?
Aye, not the salt beef, the prime stuff. You have it, haven't you?
Aye, I have it.
Well, then let's see it, man.
Aye, sir.
Here.
A florin, sir.
I wish it was 10 guineas, but I haven't got 10 guineas myself.
Thank you, sir.
Now listen, Jane Bamber. Get back to Preston. It's naught for you but misery and Liverpool.
Captain Onedin?
Huh?
John Bullock, sir. Agent in this port for the Confederate States of America.
Ah, sir. Oh, may I introduce Miss Jane Bamber of Preston?
Your servant, ma'am.
Go on, eat your victuals. And straight back home afterwards. Would you care to take a seat, sir?
These are sad times, Captain.
Half of Lancashire starving and the other half watching them.
Did you speak to anybody of my note?
No, as you requested.
Sir, I have a proposition that may interest you. You know the Confederate States are in a bad way for war materials. I'm empowered to recruit captains and crews to run the Yankee blockade with guns and blankets and bring back cotton to Liverpool. Any man doing both will be a patriot twice over.
The cargo and the profits must be mine.
You disappoint me, sir.
You don't seem very impressed by the notion that a man should look to himself in these matters, eh?
No, sir, but I've heard it often enough in this war. Profiteers' bellies grow fat as the South starves.
Sir, I'm an Englishman. Now, your war's none of my affair. If I have an interest in this venture, it's purely as a matter of business. Now, I thought that's what we were talking about.
There's my card. Call on me if I can help you. Good day to you, sir.
That'd be ninepence for the beef, Captain. A very pleasant gentleman, the American gentleman, sir.
Why, do you know him?
Who doesn't in this port? Still, Captain Bullock's backing a loser just the same.
What makes you say that, eh?
Well, I've had one or two seamen in here done the trip. Nary a one would care to do it again. That Yankee blockade's a news round the south, sir, and round everybody's neck as tries to get in.
Maybe.
Still, they say the money's good if a sailor lad ever gets home to count it.
Oh, well, good day to you.
Good day, Captain Onedin.
Hey, you. Back home. Do you hear me?
The house is made over to you. There's a small annuity from an uncle of mine. That, too, is yours. It isn't much, but it should suffice to keep you and the child. Anyway, it's all I have. The details are in there.
I can't beg you to stay. I've no right to do that. But have you considered what you're giving up?
I have lain awake at night considering it. I've made up my mind.
I'm sorry, Albert. Believe me.
I do. I, too, am sorry.
Now, Mr. Baines, thank you.
Robert?
Oh, James.
How much money's have we altogether?
What have we realized every penny? Well, with the warehouse and the Charlotte Roads and the Pampero, I should say £2,500.
That'll do.
For what, man?
Cargo, Robert.
Of what? What cargo?
200 dozen pair. Best calf, brand new. At 2 shillings and 4 pence the pair.
200 dozen?
How much, Robert?
Well, not more than 2 shillings.
2 shillings.
There's no profit for me in a florin a pair.
Yes or no, man?
You'll ruin me, sirrah.
I doubt it.
Very well.
Right, James, will you pray tell me?
The blankets.
Where will you dispose?
100 dozen.
Uh-huh.
3 shillings and 3 pence. Farthing.
How much, Robert?
They're not worth even 3 shillings, no.
3 shillings each. I'll be generous.
Now, look here, Captain.
Aye.
3 shilling it is.
Now then, did you make inquiries about those other items, eh?
I did, sir.
At a profit, no doubt.
Certainly. Is that an offence against the Lord's word?
What price, eh?
The rifles.
Rifles?
From the stock of the Austrian army. Guaranteed to be in fine condition, greased and unfired as they left the armourer.
Price, man!
There.
Well, that's a bit of a stiff price for old pieces, isn't it?
Perhaps he knows where they're going, Captain.
Well, then try somebody else. Look, my customers won't accept any old rubbish.
I warrant you'll find they'll buy those, sir. I am glad of it. Glad of it. There's still a fine profit there.
Well, get me some that'll fire at least.
James, will you...
It won't matter one way or t'other, sir. 50 fathoms down.
This man is built just as we are built. And he breathes God's good air just as we breathe it. But this man, he has one misfortune. He's black. And because he's black, other people who are white, they've made a slave out of him. They put this iron collar around his neck, and they treat him like a beast. Who does this? Our so-called American brothers do this, and to thousands like him. He's lucky, he's free, but there's still thousands, still slaves in the so-called Confederated States of America. Yes, it is a shame, and that's why we mustn't buy any more of their cotton. Not if we're starving.
Thank you, Mr. Baines.
You forget your miseries. I'm thinking about the miseries of the poor slave. He doesn't have
Terrible thing, slavery, Mr. Baines.
So you tell me.
That man escaped. He was one of the lucky ones.
Yes.
Mr. Foot's a very good religious man.
True enough, he's a good man. His mother kept a lodging house down Line Street.
Oh, did she?
Aye, ma'am, that she did. As for Bobby Jackson down there...
Bobby Jackson?
The slave. He was lucky he escaped out of Scotland Road.
Oh?
Yeah, he was born down Scotland Road. He's a Liverpool feller.
I want you to read the good book, the volume of the sacred law. Brethren, I ask you all.
Morphine, chloroform. Must be a lot of pain in the south.
And we'll relieve it at a price.
You're carrying medical supplies?
Aye.
Where to?
America.
What's the rest of the cargo?
Blankets, shoes.
Rifles and gunpowder.
James?
Blockade running.
You're not serious.
Never been more serious in my life.
Robert?
Don't ask me.
Blockade running? To the south to help succor those who keep slavery alive?
Aye, and bringing back cotton. Don't forget the poverty in Lancashire.
And this ship, we'll never get insurance on it.
Not a penny.
But these bills for cargo would take our entire capital.
Aye.
Look, Anne, Robert, there's little old profit in Portuguese casks at 2pence a barrel. Now, this voyage answers all our needs. We must risk it.
Albert?
Put it down somewhere, Mr. Bain.
Aye, sir.
Oh, hello, Albert.
James.
Where shall I put Mr. Fraser's trunk, sir?
Put it in the mate's cabin, will you, Baines? So long with you.
Aye, aye, sir.
But are you going on this voyage, then?
That's so. May I?
To America?
I have business there.
What of Elizabeth?
Oh, she's, well, thank you, Anne.
You'll be leaving her in Liverpool.
Yes.
What business do you have in the Americas?
Steam. I'm going to see a man called John Ericsson. He's a genius with steamships. He and I have corresponded. He's interested in British iron-built steamships. Has offered me a position as his assistant there.
Where is this Ericsson?
In Washington, last I heard. Wherever he is, I'll find him. James, this wine is fit only for removing paint and barnacles.
James, the crew.
You insisted upon coming. It was your notion.
It's very beautiful.
One day a pearl, and the rest of the time it's just the oyster.
It'd be foolish to say one loved the sea, because it's so cruel. And yet on a day like this,
You're right.
if we were not on such a venture.
Land on the port bow!
We make landfall in 2 hours, Anne. But you stay in Bermuda, remember. Do you know Bermuda, Mr. Baines?
Aye, sir. I've heard it called paradise.
That's Mr. Fern's house.
Thank you.
It is paradise.
Well, it does very well, I must say. For a pilot.
You're not the only one who does well after the war, it seems.
You come well recommended, Captain.
So you will pilot us into Wilmington?
A fine lady, your wife.
I think so.
But do you usually discuss business in front of her?
She is my wife and my partner.
I see. Rich as well as handsome.
Now, Mr. Fudge.
Now tell me,
if we could
Mr.
get-
Onedin, what do
Don't-
you think of this business?
I think it's a bad business, Mr. Ferns.
You are right. It is. Wine. Shall I tell you why it is a bad business?
I have no wish for details, sir. I simply disapprove of the whole enterprise, that's all.
And your reason for that?
Because the cargo my husband carries will assist the South and may help them to win this war.
And you are against that?
I am against slavery and the slave trade.
But so am I, in principle. But you would not rob me of my little comforts.
There is no comfort in slavery, Mr. Ferns.
Well said, ma'am. Well said. You have a lady who speaks her mind, Captain. No harm in that, so long as it is the last time she says it. In the company we keep, she may meet men who would take her words for Yankee treason.
My wife is to remain in Hamilton. So, don't concern yourself with her womanly fancies. Let's get down to business, eh?
Very well, Captain. to business. Now, Bermuda. Wilmington. The distance between is over 600 nautical miles. Now, here is the blockade. Gunboats, cruisers, and here, the main squadron with the flagship. Now, this is Cape Fear, rightly named. And here is the Confederate fort on the estuary. The most powerful guns in the South. Once we are within her range, we are safe.
Why, do you go in by day?
Before, yes.
And now?
Now, by night. Captain, you are in sail. If you do not get the right winds, well, you could be in trouble. You know that. Now, I tell you what we do, Captain. We do not try to run through this blockade. No. We set course for the north. We pick up the coast, we follow it down, and we come in by the back door.
That close to the shore?
Closer than you have ever been before in your life, Captain. So close that you will hear nothing but the surf in your ears.
I don't know. Isn't that a risk?
Risk? Of course it is a risk, but not so big a risk as trying to run through 3 blocks of ships.
Have you ever been in this close to the shore before?
Only once. We got away with it.
Right. Let's try it, then.
Good. Well, there remains only to be discussed my fee. £750 in gold for the round trip.
Now, I understood 500.
Some pilots will charge less, but I come back. I have never lost a ship yet, Captain. So do what I say, Captain, and I will bring you back.
And me as well, Mr. Ferns.
I thought you said she was not coming.
She isn't.
I am, James. If you're to die, I shall risk it too.
Master!
Aye.
Put your best man into the cross trees. Give him a silver dollar for every sail he sees.
Silver dollar?
And fine him 5 if we see it first from down here.
Well, carry on, Mr. Baines.
It is see before we are seen, Captain. See before we are seen.
I spoke with Elizabeth before we sailed.
So you know that I've left her?
Yes. She understands your action. She doesn't blame you.
That is most gracious of her.
She realizes the wrong she did you. Or could you not, in your heart, find it to forgive her and go back?
She's provided for, and so is the child. I've discharged my duty. Maybe more than my duty.
I'm sorry I mentioned it.
We have to tack in close to the surf and creep like a nigger in a henhouse from now on.
186!
Go easy, mister!
Easy as she goes!
Send you back to Black Spec, sir.
Starboard! Easy!
Starboard and easy, sir!
Steady as she goes, Mr. Mate!
West by south, sir!
Go on, sounding sailor!
Sir!
Do you hear that surf, sir? Well, we're nearly in it, Captain.
Nothing to starboard!
Aye, sir.
One thing wrong with this ship. She isn't built of iron.
I've never heard surf like that before, man. Not from on board.
Keep her steady as she goes, Mr. Bates!
Aye, aye, sir. Steady as she goes.
Very close in to the shore, aren't we?
We are meant to be.
Can't we move out a little?
And run into a Yankee gunboat? Captain Onedin, you are paying me good money to get you into Wilmington. Please let me do it!
Hello?
I couldn't abide the noise below.
I can't abide it up here, ma'am.
Will we get out alive?
Well, I'm praying hard, ma'am. He'll have us over, Captain. He's a madman, sir. He's a good seaman, but he's a madman.
Step back! If anybody can do it, he can.
We are in the estuary! Steer west-southwest!
Morning, Mr. Baines. Yes.
I've seen worse, ma'am.
Dear God.
But he'll live, ma'am. He wouldn't be walking yet.
To think they'd do that to a defenseless black one. I hate this place.
It isn't paradise, that's for sure. More like hell it is. Saving your presence, ma'am.
Too bad.
Do you wish me to give Elizabeth any message? She'll be waiting for us in Liverpool.
Give her me regards.
That's all.
That's all. Goodbye. Good luck.
Elizabeth asked me to give you this letter.
It will be harder getting out, Captain Onedin. A lot harder. They know we are in by now.
How?
The place is full of spies. In this war, it is brother against brother, and trust no man. So I will have my half fee now.
This cargo took every penny I possessed. You'll be paid, though, when I'm paid, eh?
Major Morrison from the quartermaster's office, sir. Captain Onedin?
This is...
He knows me, don't you, Major?
I do. Captain, I have read your manifest, and I see what you carry. It is indeed a handsome cargo, and of inestimable value to my country. Thank you.
Oh, would you care for some refreshment?
Oh, later, perhaps, if we can talk privately.
Don't worry about me, Major. See you get paid.
Would you care for the seat, Major?
Sir, I will take that refreshment now for me.
Oh.
We have strange bedfellows in time of war, do we not, sir? To a safe return home, Captain.
Thank you.
Now, sir. Naturally, we wish to purchase everything on this ship. No point in your selling it piecemeal.
Not unless I have to.
Your prices, Captain, are out of my experience.
Huh? I thought I'd been well advised.
May I ask by whom?
You have to.
Our late friend. They are very hard, sir. Very hard indeed. Now, I would need special permission to meet them.
Oh, I wouldn't trouble to do that. I can always put them up for sale to interested parties.
No.
Excuse me, James.
Oh, Major, my wife, Anne.
Your servant, ma'am.
My wife may stay.
But of course.
Right, you were saying, Major.
Well, if I may expand my objections to your prices as here listed. Sir, the South is indeed in bad straits. Now, Lee's Army of the Potomac has never more than 30 days' rations on which to rely. Well, our citizens very nearly starve. Since the war began, bacon has gone up in price 10 times, tea 16 times, the price of flour's doubled.
Oh, Major, I've risked my ship and possibly my life for this cargo. I've done it for money and money alone. Now, the South is not my cause, neither is the North. James Onedin is my cause, and my ships. I'm sorry to put it so bluntly, but unless you meet my prices, I shall put my cargo, apart from materials of war, up for auction, as I am allowed to do by your laws.
Very well, sir. If that is your final word.
It is.
You hold us to ransom, sir, but we will pay your price.
In gold. It's Confederate money. It's a debased currency.
You will take your price in cotton.
In gold.
So, you were to go back to Liverpool empty?
No. I shall be paid in gold, and with that same gold, I shall buy the cotton privately from your planters. At bottom prices. They can't give the stuff away.
Sir, whatever else you may be, you are certainly a man of business.
Well, I don't think you meant that as a compliment, but I'm going to take it as one.
Very well. It is agreed.
Done?
Done.
Good. Well, I'll go on deck and give orders to unload the cargo. I want to sail as soon as possible. Oh, and look after our guest, will you?
Why, Major?
Ma'am?
Why do you fight on? The right must prosper in the end. It always does. Why beggar yourselves in such a cause?
You are an abolitionist, ma'am.
I try to understand as best I can the issues. As I see it, slavery must end. It must.
This war is not just about slavery, ma'am. It is about states' rights. Now, states must live as they wish, not as Washington wishes.
Do you keep slaves?
My father does. But, ma'am, even if this were a bad cause, how could I admit to it? And besides, if you feel this way, how can you bring yourself to aid us, to profit from us?
Don't touch us, sir!
Bread. Give us bread.
Go on.
Yellow Jack.
Fever?
Here.
Oh.
When was it not, sir?
Well, ma'am, we're leaving this pestilential place.
Yes, Mr. Baines. The sooner the better.
You won't do what? I won't take you out tomorrow. But you've got your money. Half fee, Captain. But you agreed. Agreed to go when I was ready to go. Why? I've told you. They know that we are in. They mean to get us when we go out. They can come into the surf to get us because they have the boats that can do it.
And when do you mean to leave this place? I mean, a week? 2 weeks?
A month, maybe. They have got nothing better to do but wait.
You would be rotted in this place all month?
It is better than a federal jail.
Oh, is it?
Ah, I see. You know about the yellow fever?
Aye, I do. You should have warned me.
A small outbreak?
I've my wife to think
You
of.
should not have brought your wife.
Well, she stays in this place no longer. We sail first tide tomorrow.
In that case, you sail without me. And if you sail without me, you will be taken.
We'll see.
I don't give advice, but don't do it.
If the yellow fever gets aboard my ship, we're all done for. I'm between the devil and the deep blue, Mr. Fern.
Oh, no, sir. You are between two devils, the fever and the Federals. Good night. Keep close in. Oh, and Captain, good luck.
You've forgotten something.
No.
Thought you'd be halfway to Washington by now.
No?
Decided not to work with Erickson.
For the time being.
What made you change your mind?
Anne gave me a letter from Elizabeth. It brought me to me senses.
James, I do believe this stuff gets worse with the keeping.
East to half north, sir.
And again, Seaman, and again.
Bandit 6!
Nothing to the north, men!
Aye, aye, sir.
I said steady, Mr. Baines!
Every man, Jack, puts his hands on his head. This ship is a prize of the United States of America. Fortunes of war, Captain. You gave us a good run, but you had no chance, none at all. We simply knew to expect you.
To expect us?
Indeed, ma'am. Our intelligence is very good these days.
Is your intelligence called Mr. Ferns?
I cannot tell you that, ma'am.
You do not deny it. I take that as an admission.
I have said nothing.
You've said enough.
Well, ma'am, all things will be known eventually, no doubt. Meantime, this ship is a prize, and I have an armed skeleton crew aboard. Now, you may not be happy, ma'am, but at least I trust you will be comfortable till we make port in New Orleans.
I'm impressed by your consideration, sir.
But my wife means...
Is that she hates my face at her tail? Well, I'm sorry, but as I say, fortunes of war. Well, I must on deck to see that we sail in the right direction. I prefer Maudsley's variable screw propeller myself.
Are you interested in steamships, sir?
You could say that. I helped build two of my brother's design. Back in Scotland, that was.
He talks politely, but keeps us prisoner.
There could be in irons aboard his gunboat putting into New Orleans this very minute. Why upset the fella?
He only left you both on the ship because of me.
No, it's better than nothing.
Oh, things went amiss for us. It could have happened any time. I don't blame you, James.
Blame me?
You tried to gamble and lost.
If that's a speech of sympathy, God save us from it.
Well, we'll begin again after they let us go.
Yeah, you never wanted this enterprise, did you? You should be glad that it's ended so badly.
I disapproved of the enterprise, but that doesn't mean to say I wished it to
Oh,
bear ill.
hush, woman.
There's no wind. No wind at all.
Well, I'm in no hurry to feel the irons of a federal jail. Let it be calm forever. And if you'll excuse us, No doubt you'll be impatient to get home, Captain Ferguson, eh?
Home? I lost my wife to the childbed fever 3 years ago in New York. I have no home to go to. The sea's my home.
We all have our misfortunes, sir. There was to have been a profit of some £30,000 for me on this voyage.
As much as that?
Oh, aye.
£30,000.
Yeah. Was to have gone towards building a steamship. A design of Mr. Fraser's here. He calls it the Golden Nuggets.
You have designed a steamship, sir?
Well, you've got the plans aboard, Fraser. Why not show them to Captain Ferguson, eh?
Would you care to see the plans? Indeed, I should be most interested to see them. I'll get them from my cabin.
What do you think of it, Captain Ferguson?
Well, it's a fine design. I see no fault in it. None at all. I congratulate you, sir. Thank you.
If, if we could have built her, what a day it would have been for the men who worked on her, eh?
It would be a blow in the eye for them that wants to stop progress.
There are precious few in Liverpool who could work here. I need a top man, a practical man at my right hand, a fully trained man, an engineer.
Qualified engineers are hard to come by.
It so happens that I'm one myself.
Indeed.
Well, as you say, it's a fine design. Oh, pity we shall never see her launched. You owe this new country of yours. I mean, when the war's over, what are you going to do? You're not a young man anymore. Who'll want you? Your roots are no more American than mine. What do you owe them, eh?
I've taken their pay. I'll wear their uniform.
And when the war's over, how far will that uniform take you, eh? Now, what happens if you take us straight to New Orleans? My cargo's impounded and the money goes towards a war where it won't show one way or the other. But put into something like this, I could do some good in the world.
It could be a new start for you, Mr. Ferguson. You could be my chief engineer.
£200 a year and a house of your own. And a share of the profits of the Golden Nugget.
You'd have to work 16 hours a day, Mike.
You said £30,000. Our risk is equal.
Therefore, we take equal profit, 15,000 each.
You want half?
Or nothing.
Very well.
We will sign articles to that effect. Here. I've drawn up a document.
You've come well prepared.
I hope so.
Right. Now, how do we get to Liverpool?
Well, now, you just leave that to me. Captain, Mr. Fraser, if you'll excuse me. Mr. Bell, I have fresh orders for you. You're to take the men off in the longboats and row for the shore.
But, sir...
I have put these orders in writing, Mr. Bell. Show them to anybody who questions your conduct.
Aren't you coming, sir?
No. It's a matter of intelligence, Bell.
Oh?
Always obey the last order given, Lieutenant, and you will do well in the Navy.
Thank you, sir. Cast off. Stand off, Bart. Way together.
You did it, James. You did it.
Yes, we did it.
We're rich, Anne. We're rich.
Yes, Robert. We went to make a profit, and it seems we've made one. I trust we're all proud of ourselves. James, do you know that woman?
I've seen him before in my life.
And who are they? Who are these people? Our American brothers! Our American brothers do this! Yes, and to thousands like him. This man was lucky. He escaped. But there's still thousands like him, still slaves in the so-called Confederate States of America, the South. Yes, yes, it is a shame, sir. And that is why we must never buy their cotton, even if we're starving, even if our children are starving and begging in the streets. I put it to you, God created man in his own image, black or white, red or brown, and it is not up to us.
The company assets now stand at £27,484, 10 shillings and 4pence. Well, we've not done too badly, eh?
Assets, but how much of that is actually cash in hand?
Oh, I've no fear, Anne. We're well cushioned against adversity.
Have you taken into account Robert's 15%?
Our shareholders are paid on profits, not assets.
You must stop treating him as a poor relation, James.
He treats everyone as if they just come from the parish. I warrant there's little enough money finds its way into your purse, any more than it does into my pocket.
Now, you be quiet, Father. Robert is a shareholder and as such is entitled to return on his investment.
£15 worth of shares.
When you needed it most.
Have you any idea how much those shares are now worth?
No.
Nor, I imagine, does Robert.
He'll be paid. But first I must pay off Senor Braganza for my share of the Pampero. Now that's £1,500. Well, maybe if I declare a bonus of £200, that should take care of Robert, eh?
15%?
Well, a company cannot expand without reserves.
Household accounts.
Pay them then.
I cannot.
Must think me a bottomless pit. Very well, I'll write you a draft on the bank. Damn tradesmen. They must extend our credit.
They have extended it.
Those shopkeepers once fought for our custom. Now that we've fallen on lean times, they choose to snap at our heels. Very well, as you seemingly cannot, I'll deal with them.
I'm a shopkeeper's daughter. I know that there comes a point when the tradesman must cry halt. We have reached that point.
The steamship men have their own designers. Sailing ship men laugh at my notions. What am I to do?
Make it up with your father. I'm sure he'd welcome you back into his business.
I'm not going to spend the rest of my life designing masts and spars.
Without employment, we shall starve.
Oh, I cannot, Elizabeth, I cannot.
It's no more than a little pride on both sides.
My father had the impertinence to state in public that I'd married beneath myself and without parental consent.
The fault is mine, so I will apologize.
You'll do no such thing, I forbid it.
As you wish, Albert. Where are you going?
To see James. About a promise.
£200. It's a fortune, Robert.
Don't imagine that I didn't earn it. I slaved down at those docks.
£200? But James must be making money hand over fist.
Oh, there's plenty more where this came from.
Right. Then we bank £50 immediately in little Samuel's name. Then we can pay all our outstanding accounts. We can renew all the stock and we can...
And I can have a new suit. Oh, my love.
You made a promise.
I didn't know such thing.
As God's me witness.
Now, look. We were in a bit of a tight spot. It was either a federal prison or a fanciful tale.
You said that the contraband profits were to be used to build a steamship.
To be built by Albert.
No, that was bait to dangle before an ambitious Yankee. Fortunately for us, he swallowed it. Now, that ambitious captain walked off with £15,000 of my money. If anybody's in a position to help you, it should be him. By my reckoning, he showed enough enthusiasm to build a dozen steamships.
And you cannot summon enough courage to invest in one.
Now, look, when I build a ship, it won't be out of charity.
Is that your last word?
No. No, I do have it in mind to get myself another ship, and when I do, it'll be a sister to the Pampero.
And you're a fool.
Albert, the day that you can show me how one steamship can bring in a better profit than two of sail, I'll give you an order.
Right. Come, Elizabeth.
James?
Elizabeth.
Poor Albert.
Albert's spoiled with education. To learn to stand on his own feet like I've had to do. And you're wasting your time. Mr. Baines will never wear a master's uniform.
I have every confidence in Mr. Baines.
Mrs. Fraser,
Aren't we being formal all of a sudden?
I think it better.
Since you came up in the world.
Albert has proved to be a good husband.
I can think of no better.
The choice was yours.
And how is Miss Emma Callan these days?
She's well. Why do you ask?
Because it seems to me, Mr. Fogarty, that you too set your sights high.
So you've a mind to come back into the firm, have you?
It seemed to be a great deal of bother about nothing.
You broke your mother's heart.
Oh, nonsense, Father. Mamma has a heart of flint, as well you know.
While you're under my roof, you'll speak respectfully of your mother or not at all.
I speak of her much as you treat her.
That's enough. I've work to do.
Good. Well, now that we've disposed of family affairs, shall we discuss business?
Business? What do you know of business? You chose to ignore sound, practical advice and you married that scheming ironmonger's daughter.
Chandler's, actually. It was your father, you will remember, who dealt in nuts and bolts.
Your grandfather was a manufacturer.
I knew it was some sort of trade.
I didn't spend good money on your education to have the privilege of sitting in my office trading sarcasms.
No. You invested in me education like a prudent man might put capital aside for his old age.
And what's wrong with that? You had a better start in life than ever I had. A man has every right to expect a son to follow in his footsteps, lend support to him in his old age.
At last we're beginning to see eye to eye. I do have a poor head for business, but much of that is your fault.
What?
And so you must be prepared to shoulder some of the responsibility.
I'll tell you what's wrong with the way you're carrying on your business. You're undercapitalized, and you spend too much of your time trying to cram your crackpot notions down other people's throats.
I have made mistakes.
And now you come creeping back to me, cap in hand. It won't wash, Albert. It won't wash.
And I must take my talent elsewhere.
Talent? What talent?
A trifle over sparred, don't you think?
There's power there. Power to drive her. That'll be one of Callan's new clippers, specially designed for the wool trade. I'm expecting regular 80-day passages from her.
And 40 men to crew her. I could redesign her and she would sail with but half that crew.
Get on about your blasted steam engines again!
Am I interrupting?
No, Elizabeth, I was just leaving.
I do apologize for the intrusion, Mr. Fraser, but your clerk directed me here.
It was no intrusion. Our discussion was at an end.
Oh, thank you. You're most considerate, Mr. Fraser.
You'll take a little refreshment.
Well,
I insist.
then how can I refuse? You're not at all the ogre I remember.
Ogre? Me?
I was terrified out of my wits.
Terrified? Of me?
My limbs quite turned to water. Thank you. Even my brother James stands in awe of you.
James?
The ship owner.
Of course. Young Onedin. I hear he's tweaked a few noses on his march to success. I doubt Callan will ever forgive him.
I'm afraid James lacks your gallantry, sir. He's far too outspoken. An unfortunate habit which will surely someday cause us mutual concern.
You've quite lost me, madam.
People committed to the shipping interests tend to move in small circles. Unguarded tongues can create a situation of common embarrassment.
Yes, of course.
And the fault is wholly mine.
No, my dear. I made an error of judgment. I've made few mistakes in my life, but when I do, I'm the first to own I'm wrong. You start tomorrow, Albert, on the dot of 8. And mind you to forget your crackpot notions about building these iron monstrosities. Is that understood?
Yes, Father.
Bottom.
Oh.
I passes. I pass me masters.
Congratulations. Oh, come along then.
What?
We've got the Pampero waiting long enough.
Ampero?
Aye. What did you expect for your first command? A smoke pot? Come along, Captain Baines.
But James owes it to Albert.
You heard James. He says he made no such undertakings.
You were present at the time.
It's very difficult. The promise was made, but only to inveigle that captain. Where matters of business are concerned, James is alone to himself. I doubt he'd order as much as a rowboat out of sentiment.
Then we must persuade him.
How?
At a little dinner party, perhaps?
Dinner party?
Oh, I think that's a splendid notion. Well, Robert and I would be delighted to attend. You could ask Mr. and Mrs. Fraser, and your father, Anne. Then, after the ladies have left the gentlemen to their port and cigars, they can discuss business. And who knows where that may lead.
But it'll be easy to pass the proverbial camel through the eye of a needle and persuade James to attend a formal dinner party.
He can hardly avoid an appearance at his own.
Never forget, a master's first duty is to his owner.
I shall always bear it in mind, sir.
If you get into difficulties, don't start sending frantic and muddled messages home.
No, sir.
Ship singled up fore and aft, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tranter. Allow me to see you ashore, sir.
Well, William, good luck. Every confidence in you.
And my best to Mrs. Onedin, sir. If it hadn't been for her, I'd never have worn this.
Never in doubt, never in doubt. Every confidence in you.
Thank you, sir. Right, come on, clear the gangway. Look lively there. Tranter, sir. Ship is yours, Mr. Tranter.
Aye, aye, sir. Cast off fore and aft. Sheet land, topsails. Shake 'em up, boatswain, shake 'em up.
And the villain, such a monster as you never saw, was about to set fire to the ship.
Then I suppose the hero arrived in the very nick of time, downed the villain with one blow of his fist, and rescued the young lady.
Well, yes, he did. But then what happened? Why, within minutes, the ship became a roaring inferno and blew up in a monstrous explosion.
Taking the villain to his well-deserved reward.
Oh, that, on a stage.
Twice nightly. I'd have given better odds on the villain's chances if it had been an iron ship.
Granted, iron ships don't catch fire so easily, but their boilers do explode.
A typical sailing ship man's tale. When did the last steamship blow up?
Just a few months ago off Tranmere, with considerable damage to property.
It's the work of an incendiarist who was laden with gunpowder.
That sounds like a typical steamship man's tale. Yeah. What do you say, Onedin?
Oh, was she insured?
On, Mr. Tranter?
Drawing nicely, sir. Smell of ice in the air.
Keep her as she goes. We'll be in brown skin latitude because of that change in the moon.
Aye, aye, sir.
You cannot pretend that steam packets are not today crossing the ocean.
Mainly under sail, Albert, mainly under sail. The first sign of bad weather, they douse their fires and hoist their canvas. Leave them to the Navy, my boy. They can afford to back their follies with taxpayers' money.
Her Majesty's Navy does not indulge in folly, sir.
Well, you must agree, Captain Webster, the Board of Admiralty has a somewhat longer purse than most of us.
A navy that has the wit and imagination to build a ship such as the ironclad Warrior is in little need of reprimand from a wooden shipbuilder, sir.
Oh, she was a converted, full-rigged ship, neither fish nor fowl, out of date before she was built like all the rest of them. But you were too blind, and you too obstinate to recognize a fact when it's thrust before you.
The facts are, Albert, that without government subsidy, steamships cannot pay their way.
They would if they built them my way.
Oh, what is your way?
There is your sailing ship. Stick an engine in it, everyone imagines you have a steamship. You haven't. You have a steam-driven sailing ship.
So?
You start afresh. You build the ship around the engine. Now, you take out these masts.
Here, hold on. It's just a hull that you want, I can oblige. Mr. Baines' hobby left it behind.
We build a steam-driven floating warehouse.
Go on.
Now, Captain Baines, on the poop of his sailing ship, cannot see what lies ahead. But on this ship, just forward of the funnel, we build a walk. By bridging the midship sections like this, the officer on duty can see all around the horizon. That should go to bringing your insurance rates down.
How much of that tonnage is taken up by engine and coal?
About 1,000 tons.
Then she'll never show a profit. That sailing ship can carry 1,500 tons of cargo compared with that Puffin Billy's 500.
No. The upper limits of sail have been reached. The upper limits of a power-driven ship are not yet in sight. I've designed this ship to carry 2,500 tons.
2,500 tons? Well, she'll go straight down to the bottom.
What do you do when the engine blows up?
Well, the same as you do as when a sailing ship's dismasted.
Now then, bigger ships will need bigger engines, and therefore more coal.
A more powerful engine is not necessarily larger. Mr. Elder's compound engine uses lower fuel consumption per horsepower.
At what speed?
Around 12 knots.
And you colored square riggers with sure a clean pair of heels.
Ah, you sailed to Quebec recently, didn't you, Jake? How long did it take?
38 days out, 14 days back.
52 days. You made a good passage. This ship will take 14 days there and 14 days back.
28 days.
As regular as clockwork.
You're forgetting fuel costs, lad.
The wind costs no man a penny piece.
Except in time. I've estimated an expenditure of about £1,000 for coal.
There's a nice round figure to chip off your profits.
What profits?
Oh, some of which could be offset against the savings in insurance. Now, you say there's no upward limit to size.
The size is limited only by the strength of iron and the power of the steam.
How much will it cost?
I'll say £40,000.
£40,000?
40,000? I could build you 4 clippers for that money.
But 2 of these, Mr. Fraser, can carry the same cargo in half the time.
You're not persuaded.
Oh, show me the way to continuing profits and you'll find me the easiest man in the world to persuade. Now, when could we start building?
You really mean it?
Hold on. Where'll you find the money?
I'll raise it by forming a public company.
Well, Father?
This needs a deal of thinking. Our yards are not equipped to build such a vessel.
Now, you say the limitations are in the strength of the iron and in the power of the steam. So you could build me a ship that'll carry 4,000 tons to Quebec and back in 24 days. Can you do that?
Yes. But not for £40,000.
How much then?
I'll say 60,000.
Then we're in business.
Not yet.
I'll go elsewhere.
This means a heavy investment for Fraser's. In large yards, new slipway, machine shops. I think my son deserves a higher return than a design fee. If you're determined on this course and you go public, I'll not stand in Albert's way. But Fraser's must have 20% holding.
10%. And to Albert, not to Fraser's.
15. And to Albert. Then if you go down, you'll take only one of the Frasers with you.
Right. I'll float £100,000 worth of shares, 50% to Albert. But that ship must be mine.
All right. Shall we join the ladies?
Up to Robert and said, "Oh, Papa, there's a pup stuck."
I'm sorry, my dears, we got talking business. You know the way it is. It's
I think dinner's gone very well, don't you, James?
Oh, very well, yes. Just cost me £100,000.
Put your backs into it, lads. I want this deck as white as your father's face when your mother told him the news. Mr. Tranter. Sir? I like a clean ship, Mr. Tranter. A clean ship and a tidy ship.
Aye, sir. strength, tonnage, and speed. For strength, we're building a composite. A teak planking over iron frames. For tonnage, 36-foot beam, 20-foot draft. For speed, 17,000 square yards of canvas. There's power there, Tom. Power to driver.
Ah, and it'll cost me a king's ransom, I've no doubt.
It'll cost you. Still fall a deal short of Onedin's mark.
Oh? And what is Onedin's mark?
Albert quoted him 60,000. He never blinked.
£60,000? What are you building, a fleet of whalers?
I've got a steamship on my books, Tom. A steamship.
And you're the man who always swore he'd have no truck with these smoke pots.
Onedin's money's as good as yours. And there's more of it.
Oh, is there? But he'll rook you, mark my words, he'll rook you.
If anybody gets his fingers burned, it'll be young Albert. The lad's got to learn sometime, and if he takes a tumble with Onedin, it'll be as good a blooding as he'll ever get.
Albert?
Steam will be his side of the business, not mine. I'm too old a dog to learn new tricks.
Well, you take care you're not left holding the baby. Onedin will never raise that kind of money, never in this world.
He's forming a public company to the tune of £100,000.
Might I ask why you've settled on this particular sum?
Well, 60,000 for building and 40,000 for operating costs.
Your costs, if I may say so, appear to be abnormally high when compared to the original investment.
Well, if the ship's a success, I want immediate capital for laying down the keel of the second.
And you have no wish to water your stock by a second issue of shares. Very wise, Mr. Onedin. Very wise.
Now, I also wish to keep complete control of the company.
Advise. Now, your first step will be to issue a prospectus. A prospectus is an inducement to take shares. It has been held at the New Brunswick Railway Company versus Mugridge 1860 that those who issue a prospectus are bound to state everything with strict and scrupulous accuracy. For example, if the object of your company is to build such and such a type of ship and for such and such other purposes as laid down in the company's memorandum of association, then those purposes are bound to be stated clearly and must not be departed from. In short, the company's finances must not be used for any other purpose than that which has been declared. Now, is that clearly understood?
Yeah, plain as a pikestaff. I borrow money to build and operate a steamship. Now, how do I keep control of the company?
There's only one effective method, and that is by holding a majority of the shares.
Well, that would come to more than £50,000. It's just not possible.
It is, in fact, entirely possible. As shareholders are notoriously divisive in their opinions, it is not always necessary to hold an absolute majority.
But why, sir?
Oh, prudence, certainly, if you can afford the luxury.
Oh, well, we can't. So there's an end to it.
On
Come
the
on,
other
James.
hand,
But yes, but I mean, it's not...
this £100,000 for which you ask may very well not be required immediately. You can therefore call upon, if you wish, all the shareholders to pay only one half of the nominal amount. The company would, in that case, have £50,000 in capital and a further £50,000 on call.
On call?
You call upon each shareholder to buy £1 shares for 10 shillings each. And they undertake to pay the company the balance on demand when called upon.
So, if I and my associates, let's say, hold 20-odd thousand pounds worth of
The
shares...
company would effectively be yours.
Ever stopped off in Rio, Mr. Tranter?
Aye, aye, sir. I wasted a lot of my strength and money along that waterfront.
Hops and whores, the curse of seafaring men. The wind's shifting, Mr. Tranter. We must be losing the trades.
Aye, I'll be a sight merrier once we've rounded the Horn.
Miss Gallen. You look exceedingly well.
Thank you, Mr. Fogarty. My uncle had the kindness to invite me to luncheon. I trust my presence will not incommode you.
She invited herself. Business, I said, but Emma's got a mind of her own. This damned Onedin getting too big for his boots.
He's far-sighted, I grant you, sir.
He'll come a tumble sooner or later and bring that young sprig Albert down with him.
Mr. Fraser had sufficient backbone to defy his parents and marry beneath him. Quite a pretty little thing, I recall.
And I saw an enterprise doomed to failure.
Judge too harshly, Uncle. I rather applaud their courage.
And speaking of this prospectus, you'll oblige me, miss, by holding your tongue while Mr. Fogarty and I are talking business. You know, young Albert calls this proposed vessel of his a floating warehouse. Fraser's Folly, that's what I call it. Can you imagine it? A ship without masts or spars or sails. It's nothing but a hulk, a perambulating hulk.
Without provisions for sail at all?
No.
Albert Fraser must be confident he's found a completely reliable engine.
There's no such thing. If there was, I'd have heard about it. No. Onedin's overstepped himself this time. These specifications are impossible. Now, think on it, Daniel. Here's a ship carrying a cargo of 4,000 ton at a speed of 14 knots for a range of 6,000 miles. It'll never come off the slipway. You mark my words.
Yeah, well, if it does, days of sail are over.
You're not serious.
You think on it, Mr. Cannon. Steam took its first steps some 20-odd years ago. It'll soon be time to take another.
You're frightened. You're afraid of these steam cranks.
I am. Oh. If Fraser and Onedin have found the answer, there'll not be a trade route left open for sail. There are heavy investments in sail, sir.
Australia by steam? No, it's pie in the sky. It'll never happen. Not in our lifetime.
When one leads, others follow. I see only one answer, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yes?
Take control of the Onedin line.
Masts? But I thought you'd not require sails. And Albert, if you're losing your nerve, it's too late to go back now.
The masts are supports. The foot of each mast, I'll fit a pair of cranes, derricks. The derricks can be hoisted or lowered by means of a wire rope attached to a steam winch at the foot of the mast. We then utilize the steam winch for raising or lowering cargo.
There's a saving in labour, eh? What do you think, Brother Robert?
Oh, well, but I just can't visualize a ship without sails. And there appears to be very little ship for a great deal of money.
Oh, it's too late to change your mind now.
Hey, Robert, there's a point, Albert, you know. We've a deal invested in the scheme. Now, exactly how is our money being spent, eh?
Well, I can't give you a detailed breakdown of figures, but I've asked for reputable engineering firms to submit tenders to build an engine to my specifications at a total cost of between £15,000 and £20,000.
For one engine?
Well, that includes boilers, steam winches, propeller shafts, pipes, and so on. I've asked for an engine that'll develop 2,500 horsepower.
Say no more. I know exactly where our money's going.
Straight up the chimney and come out in smoke.
Daniel, my father will not live forever.
I trust your father will have many happy years to come, Miss Callan.
Daniel, my name is Emma. One must be practical about these matters. My father has already made certain I do not go to any man without due provision.
I'm no fortune hunter.
Dear Daniel, how could anyone possibly impute to you an ignoble motive?
I assure you
But there are times when I find your moral rectitude somewhat constrained.
The register closed at £100,000.
Do we have him?
He's mortgaged himself up to the hilt. We'll own him, lock, stock, and barrel.
Albatross. I haven't seen one for years.
It's a bad luck bird, following us like a curse.
Superstition. It's seamanship that counts. We're not making good time. I'll try the stunsails next.
In this weather?
Aye, like a real tea clipper. I give the order, Mr. Tranter.
Hoist the stunsails! Main and t'gallant!
Stunsails, main and t'gallant!
Certainly be pooped in the first heavy following sea.
If she ever puts to sea, I bought 2 shares. The rest are wasting my money.
Well, if I may have your attention, please, gentlemen.
As this is our first annual general meeting, permit me to introduce myself and my colleagues. Now, I'm James Onedin, shareholder. This is Mr. Robert Onedin, shareholder. And this is our designer, Mr. Albert Fraser, shareholder. And this is a model of Mr. Fraser's brainchild. No doubt, in due course, you'll wish to question Mr. Fraser in some detail, particularly as to how he's been spending our money. Now then, you each have an agenda paper in front of you, I take it, so we may take the first item, which is election of chairman and officers. If I could have your nominations, please.
I nominate James Onedin.
I second. I nominate Mr. Thomas Callan. I second that nomination.
Well, I must rule you out of order, Mr. Fogarty. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Callan is not a shareholder of this company.
You're wrong, Onedin. I am. In fact, I'm the principal shareholder. Just look up the name Wellesley, will you, and oblige me?
2,500 shares.
Oh, well, let's cut this nonsense short. I hold share warrants in the name of Foss, Hardcastle, Turnstile, and Fundle. Just check them in your register, will you, Mr. Robert?
That's right, James. It can outvote us.
Don't lose your head. You seem to have the advantage of us, Mr. Callan. Therefore, seem that you, shareholders here, hold the balance.
Why not put it to the test, Onedin? I think you'll find they'll vote my way.
Well, as you might have gathered, Mr. Callan and myself are at loggerheads. Mr. Callan's chosen to enter this company through the back door by buying shares through nominees. And just ask yourselves why, gentlemen.
Oh, I can tell you why. If Onedin had seen my name on that register, he'd have had a shoal of nominees of his own. And then you would have all been in his pocket by now.
Well, then ask yourselves why Mr. Callan's so eager to seize control of this company.
I just want to see it conducted on sound financial principles, that's all.
Really, that's a very charitable thought, particularly coming from a man so committed to sale as Mr. Callan. Now, my colleagues and myself, we have put every penny that we possess into this project. That is an earnest of our faith. Now, you must have had faith in it too, otherwise you wouldn't have put in a penny piece.
But so far, everything's been on paper. But now we've all had an opportunity of seeing for ourselves a model of this eighth wonder of the world. Well, look at it. I asked you, gentlemen, you ever see such a monstrosity in all your lives?
Well, I'm sure Mr. Fraser will be only too willing to answer any questions that you may wish to put to him, eh?
Why has no provision been made for the carrying of sails in the event of an engine breakdown?
I'm confident that this engine will not break down.
That's shenanigans. There's no such thing as a trouble-free engine. And never will be.
7 odd men out. All we have to do is to win over 4 of them.
Should there be any difficulty, the matter can be speedily rectified by trained engineers.
In every weather, you'd broach and turn turtle.
You've been at sea long enough to know the answer to that, Mr. Fogarty. You put out a sea anchor.
To hold a ship of that size, built of iron, with 4,000 tons of cargo, you'd never make a drogue big enough.
Well, I would. And so would you.
How much power will your engine develop, Mr. Fraser?
3,000 horsepower.
3,000 horsepower is unheard of. It would shake the ship to pieces.
Rubbish. Are you an engineer, Mr.
Brandon?
Catch your name.
I am.
Mr. Brandon. Well, engineers are notoriously blunt in their speech, but yours is the most sensible question that we've heard so far, so pray continue. I'm sure Mr. Fraser would welcome the opportunity of further explanation, eh?
Is it not a fact that Mr. Brunel only required 1,500 horsepower to propel the Great Britain at a speed of 12 knots?
Times change. That was 20 years ago, sir.
But she's still sailing.
Which speaks well of her original design.
But she had sails. 6 masts with sails. Brunel apparently did not have as much faith in his engine as you do, Mr. Fraser.
And with good reason. In Brunel's day, engines were forged of iron. Mine will be made of steel. It's cheaper, has greater tensile strength, and more reliability. Brunel's boiler pressures were 15 pounds per square inch. Mine will be 60.
Well, there's another hazard. The damn thing doesn't shake itself to pieces, it'll blow up. I think I'm going to ask for my money back.
I'll take your shares tomorrow, Callan.
Aye, but not today. You've run out of capital, haven't you?
Well, then give me until tomorrow and I'll find it.
No doubt. Because by tomorrow, when news of this eyesore leaks out, these shares won't be worth the paper they're printed on.
Look, what are you proposing? That we wind up the company before we start?
Well, it's better than throwing good money after bad, isn't it?
Aye, well, for a man who claims to have the interests of the investors at heart, that's a particularly pessimistic point of view. Or are you scared of a bit of a competition, then?
Now, listen.
All right, Mr. Callan. I notice that this ship is to be steered by that midship structure. The bridge. On the assumption that this bridge is not washed overboard in the first heavy sea, how do you propose to connect the steering wheel to the rudder?
By a series of iron rods and chains running along the afterdeck.
Is it not an axiom in engineering that the strength of a chain lies in its weakest link? Just how many weak links will connect rudder to steering wheel, Mr. Fraser? And even if your engine is half as sound as you claim it to be, what happens to your ship when one of those weak links snaps?
It is replaced.
Oh, replaced? Have you ever served aboard a ship, Mr. Fraser?
No. And I doubt that you've ever designed an engine.
Then perhaps we'll ask Mr. Onedin his opinion, for he happens to be of the same qualifications. Is it not a fact, Mr. Onedin, that a ship without a rudder is at the mercy of the sea?
Quite true. I was on such a ship once. One of yours, Mr. Callan.
How much coal will be needed to drive this 3,000 horsepower machinery, Mr. Fraser?
At a boiler pressure of 60 pounds per square inch, 2 pounds per horsepower per hour.
No matter what happens, you stay on the board. Callan daren't throw you off without showing his hand.
If we lose, I resign.
Don't be a fool. We've got to see this ship through. You're the only one that can do it.
You really do believe in it?
Oh, I do. Especially now that Callan's shown his claws. He believes in it, man. He believes in it, and the thought frightens him.
But if the voting goes against you, what will you do?
Fight him. It's either him or me. One must break the other.
Mr. Fraser, correct me if I'm wrong, but my calculations show that your figure of 2 pounds per horsepower per hour would give a coal consumption of 2.5 tons per hour.
That is so.
2.5 tons per hour. You'll agree, Mr. Fraser, that the wind is a free commodity.
But a variable one. It could prove an expensive economy in the long run.
But you have no intention of taking advantage of this free wind.
None whatsoever.
Not even when that wind can blow a ship along at 18 or 20 knots. You'd still obstinate to refuse to use it?
Yes, sir.
You'd keep these non-economical engines turning over 24 hours a day?
Exactly.
It's at a cost, gentlemen. Over and above all the other costs. At a cost of not less than £50 a day of our money. It'll go up in smoke up that tin chimney stack there. I say it's not to be borne.
What alternative do you suggest, Mr. Callan? That's a demand. All right, then demand your money back. Every penny, every pound lies untouched in that bank there. Come on and ask for it back.
What are you trying to do? Are you trying to ruin us?
Gambling on their breed, their fear, lad. Look, we start up again tomorrow.
How?
With our nominees.
Gentlemen, please, I beg you, don't play into his hands. It only needs 2 minority shareholders to withdraw their investment, and Onedin holds this company in his fist.
Aye.
Now, I'm not against innovation, gentlemen, but I've been in business too long and too successfully to be hoodwinked by such a catchpenny scheme as this. Well, I have faith in this ship, but with reasonable modification.
Never.
I'm a reasonable man, sir. I say that this ship, with masts and sails and an engine of somewhat less power, could be a worthwhile proposition. Now, I'm sure the name of Mr. Alfred Holt is well known to all of you.
Mr. Alfred Holt?
Mr. Alfred Holt is a prudent, scholarly man and a brilliant engineer.
No, sir.
Oh, well, Mr. Holt, is about to build an iron ship for the Far East trade. Now, this ship will be the finest and most powerful steamship ever built. But it will have 3 masts and a full set of sails.
Gentlemen, I've already nominated Mr. Callan for chairman. I have seconded the motion. All in favour?
Aye! Carried, I think, Mr. Onedin.
Callan, I'm still a shareholder.
Not for long, Onedin. Not for long.
Callan's first objective would be to call in the balance.
A further 20,000.
Oh, we'll have a breathing space, a month or two. He can't act too quickly. Callan might be chairman and majority shareholder, but he doesn't own the company. He can't play ducks and drakes with the company's finances, not while I'm looking over his shoulder. Now, that's a lesson that I'm going to teach him.
And we still have our sailing ships.
There she is, Tierra del Fuego.
Aye, and a right storm to go with it. If we hold on much longer, we'll be on a lee shore.
Right, Mr. Tranter. Reef the topsails.
Aye, Captain.
And the topgallants. Reef the topsails. Hold her steady.
First command!
At least he's among those saved, homeward bound now.
It's a total loss. Nothing saved. Nothing.
Nothing? But she was insured.
Not for doubling round the horn. Seems even the elements are against me.
The other ships, other cargoes. Come Come now, where's the man I married? The man with ambition enough for an army of Napoleons.
Brought you nothing but misfortune.
And I married you for security.
Well, don't you regret our marriage now?
I may have married you for security, but I found something more important. You've not lost everything. You still have the Charlotte Roads.
Well, seems I still have you, Anne.